Hello, everybody. Welcome to another lesson in financial management. Today, we'll be looking at the difference between the book value and market value of equity. Right? Equity just represents the owner's portion of the money in the company. All right. So, the book value. This is according to the book value of equity. This is according to the financial statements. With to be specific, the balance sheet. This is So this is according to the financial statements of the company. Okay, the balance sheet. All right. So to get the book value of equity for a company, if you remember in the balance sheet, assets equals liability plus capital. So now when we're dealing with companies, this capital is called equity. All right. The owner's portion of money in the company. Right. So to get the book value of equity, it's assets minus liabilities. So what this is telling us, this is the value of the company after all the assets are paid and all the assets are sold and all the debt is paid, all the liabilities have been paid off. Then what remains? That is the book value of equity for the company. All right. So this book value of equity is also represented by as ordinary share capital. All right. If we go into publicly limited companies, this is represented as ordinary share capital. How do we get the ordinary share capital of a company? That is the number of shares multiplied by the book value per share. Okay, so book value, face value, nominal value, they're all the same. So the book value, face value of the share per share times the number of shares, that gives us the ordinary share capital, which represents the book value of equity for a company. Book value here, book value per share. Right. So in questions dealing with the weighted average cost of capital, if they want you to calculate the weighted average cost of capital using the book values, right? If you want to get the book value of equity for a company, right? If you're not given any information about the assets and liabilities, all you need to know is to know the ordinary share capital. And to get the ordinary share capital, that's the number of shares to multiply by the book value per share. All right. Then, if you want to get the book value per share for each of the shares, so to get the book value per share, this is the ordinary share capital. So here we're ignoring preference shares, all right? We're just dealing with ordinary shareholders. Remember, ordinary shareholders are also part owners of a company. So ordinary share capital divided by the number of shares. Yes. So, two things to remember. If you want to get the book value of a company, all right? If you're not given the assets and liabilities, just find out the ordinary share capital. All right. Now let's go to the market value of equity. Market value of equity. This is the market value of a company according to the Securities Exchange. or the stock exchange, but now it's called the Securities Exchange. All right. So here in Zambia, our securities exchange is the Lusaka Securities Exchange, LUSA. All right. To get the market value of equity for a company, all right, what you need to do is you need to multiply the number of shares by the market price per share. All right. Once you do this, this gives you the market value of equity for a company. Now, sometimes you might, in questions dealing with the weighted average cost of capital, you might not be given the number of shares. So, if you want to ever get the number of shares of a company, just remember it's the ordinary share capital divided by the book value or par value or face value or the nominal value of the share. So, the ordinary share capital divided by the book value per share. All right. Once you divide the ordinary share capital, remember this is the money received from selling shares. All right. So once you divide the ordinary share capital by the book value or par value or the nominal value or the face value per share, that gives you the number of shares. So once you have the number of shares, then you just multiply it by the market price, and that gives you the market value of equity. So the market value is current, the book value is more historical. That's why we use market values instead of book values, because book values is based on historical information, but the market value is based on current information. All right. Then, if you want to get the market price of each share, okay, unlike the book value for each share, where you say ordinary share capital divided by the number of shares, to get the market price for each share, you have to use this formula. Okay, P O, which represents the market price of the shares. So you have the cost of equity minus the growth rate of the dividends divided by the dividends that have been paid, open brackets 1 plus G. All right. We'll deal with this in another topic, but this is how you get the market price per share. So, just a recap of what we have done here. The book value of equity, this is according to the financial statements, which is the balance sheet. The market value, this is according to the securities exchange or the stock exchange of a country. If you want to get the book value of equity for a company, you can either use this formula: equity equals assets minus liabilities. So remember, the book value represents after the company has sold all its assets and paid all of its liabilities, what remains, that's the value of the company. If that information is not given to you, the other way you can get the book value of equity for a company is there through the ordinary share capital. This is the money received from selling shares. And to get the ordinary share capital, that's just the number of shares multiplied by the book value per share. And if you want to get the book value per share of the company, or the remember book value, face value, par value, nominal value, all the same thing. Book value per share is the ordinary share capital divided by the number of shares. That gives you the book value per share. And the market value When you get the market value of equity for a company, it's the number of shares multiplied by the market price of the shares. The way you get the number of shares is just the ordinary share capital divided by the book value per share. That gives you the number of shares. And once you multiply that by the market price per share, that gives you the market value of equity. And then if you want to get the market price of each of the shares, we use the formula below. Here, PO equals the cost of equity minus the growth rate of the dividends divided by the dividend that has been paid, open brackets, 1 plus the growth rate of the dividends. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next lesson.